Ladies and gentlemen, the Colorado Avalanche have beaten the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-3 tonight, and this was a huge win. It helps the Avalanche get back on track, and we take down a tough opponent in the Tampa Bay Lightning. Obviously, they won back-to-back Stanley Cup champion. They were back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. They didn't lose a whole lot of players this year. You know, obviously they lost Yanni Gourde to the Kraken in the expansion draft, but, you know, a lot of their core is still together, and they're still a very, very scary team. So, taking them down gives the Avalanche confidence and boosts them going into the future schedule, so we don't have to play catch-up. We're currently 2-3-0 on the year after this win. We don't want to be playing from behind, especially in our division right now with the Blues, Minnesota, the Jets. Really good teams. So this is a huge, huge win for the Avalanche. With that being said, I want to jump into this. But as always, I want to remind you that Jesus is King. I just pray that you give your life to him. He's got a plan and a purpose for you. And just get to know Jesus. Believe he died on the cross for your sins. Like, truly believe that. And if you truly do believe that, then he will go. Then you will go to heaven. And spend eternity with God, with Jesus, with everyone who believed that Jesus died for their sins. It's the best thing I've ever done, and I just pray that you think about it and give your life to Jesus. Now, with that being said, let's jump in to this game. So I joined a little bit late. I was a little bit depressed because I go to Oklahoma State University, and we lost off of a BS spot by the refs, but that's neither here nor there. I'm more of an Avalanche fan than I am of college football because hockey is my favorite sport, then NFL, then college football. So, yeah, I joined a little bit late. It was like 1 to 2 minutes late. So the first thing I saw was Tampa Bay Andre Palat got called for a tripping minor, sending the Avalanche to the power play. McKinnon had a sweet dangle, almost scored. No dice, though. Their defenseman made a nice play there. Then Makar whiffed on a one-timer, and the power play expired. And, a little bit bummed out, but it's like, whatever. You only score on 20% of the power plays anyway. Then, a few minutes later, about a minute-ish later or something like that, Sergachev got a holding minor, and the Avs would once again go to the power play. And right here I wrote that the Avs looked terrible since period one against Chicago because we have just not been playing well at all these past few games against the Blues, then against the Capitals, then against the Panthers last game. And it started off a little bit slow, but we definitely picked it up after I wrote that message. However, the power play expired again, and there were no shots. And that's a problem because we got 6 power plays tonight, and spoiler, we only converted on one of them. So that's something that's definitely got to be worked on. But, hey, we came away with the dub either way. Next, the Avs, they kept pressuring Andrei Vasilevskiy. He was making some great saves. Then there was pressure by the Lightning, but luckily we cleared it. And then there was a goal by Landeskog. He kind of threw it off Vasilevskiy. McKinnon kind of threw it off Vasilevsky's pad. And Gabriel Landeskog just put it in the back of the net. So it was a goal by Gabriel Landeskog assisted by Nathan McKinnon and Samuel Girard. And that would give the Avalanche a 1-0 lead. However, after this, Andrei Burakovsky would get called for an interference. And that would send the Lightning to the power play. And on the power play, Corey Perry misses a wide open backdoor shot. After looking at it again, one of the Avs players, we got our stick on it and it deflected just high of the net, so good thing we got our stick on that. And then Kemper was making some huge saves. He looked spectacular tonight. The penalty was then killed, but right as the penalty is killed, Eric Johnson would get called for a tripping minor, and the Avalanche would go back onto the penalty kill. Kemper was making some huge saves, keeping us in this game. He's a big reason why we won tonight, if not the main reason. Vasilevskiy then made a huge save on a shorthanded chance by Darren Helm. The penalty was killed, and that would end the first period of play. In the second period, there is early pressure by the Lightning. but then Alex Killorn would get called for an interference penalty. I can't remember if it was a goaltender interference or just normal interference because that was being discussed on the broadcast. I just put interference though, and yeah, we would go to the power play. McKinnon has a great shot that was saved by Vasilevskiy. Then McKinnon has a one-timer and it was deflected away. Then the Lightning get a shorthanded breakaway. Not really a breakaway, but they get a opportunity. Luckily, it's shut down. Then Mikko Rantanin has a breakaway, but he kind of ran out of gas. He was on the ice for a long time, and his backhand just went wide of the net. Then Kemper is making some great saves, and then there's a broken play. They hit it out of midair, and then Matthew Joseph scores a goal, tying the game up at 1-1. Then Nazem Kadri was held, and the Avs would go to the power play. It was Victor Headman guilty of the 2-minute, the minor penalty for holding. And then Mikko Rantanin had a great opportunity. He had that one-timer, and he was denied by Vasilevskiy. He absolutely robbed that puck. Then the Lightning get shorthanded pressure on the Avs, leads to nothing. Then Nazem Kadri shoots wide of the net. And then once again, the Avs can't convert on the power play going. I think this was either 0 for 3 or 0 for 4. I can't remember. But, that's tough. Bowen Byram then has a one-timer, but it's deflected high. Then lots of Avs pressure leads to nothing. A lot of extracurriculars occur after the play. Bowen Byram's in there, but there was going to be no penalties assessed on that. But then, lucky for us, there's a 2-on-1 breakaway. Mikko Rantanen and Nathan MacKinnon. MacKinnon streaks down the left side, passes it over, and it's a one-time goal by Mikko Rantanen, giving the Avalanche a 2-1 lead. Shortly after that, Alex Killorn would get called for a 2-minute cross-checking penalty, and the Avalanche would once again go on the power play. Now, we have to convert here because they've been giving us a lot of power plays. And I will say the rest, there were some no calls on both sides, but they definitely favored the power plays to go towards the Avs. And then Rantanen has a shot. It goes right off the post. He just misses, giving the Avs a 3-1 lead, giving them the 2-goal lead. Then Darcy Kemper has a huge save on a shorthanded chance to keep the Avalanche in the lead. Then MacKinnon has a one-time shot, and it goes just wide of the nets. Tyson Jost would then get called for a interference penalty, a minor penalty for interference, and it would be 4-on-4 hockey for 38 seconds. Anze Palat had a shot that was deflected wide, and he missed a wide open net because of that deflection. Then Vasilevskiy can't hold on to the puck. He tried to grab it, but he couldn't, and then lots of pressure would occur by the Avs. And then the Lightning would go on the power play as the Killorn interference penalty would expire, and then the Jost interference penalty would set in. The penalty was then killed by the Avalanche. Byram was then grabbing the puck, and he was tripped behind his own net. There was no call, and then Kemper makes a huge save. I wrote right here that Kemper is the main reason that we're winning because he made some spectacular saves on the Lightning. Just this chances. He looked phenomenal tonight. Then Mikko Rantanen has a huge hit in center ice. It was a knee-to-knee collision with Matthew Joseph. Matthew Joseph looked bad. He went off, but he would come back later in the game. Rantanen was then jumped by the Lightning for that hit. And then Byram was so tough. He was getting in there. He was grabbing. He was being aggressive. And he's going to be a great player for the Avalanche. He's a Cale Makar, but he's not afraid to jump into fights and all that stuff. So I'm excited to see how his career is going to develop with us. And at the end of the period, it would be 4-on-4 hockey. At the start of the period, it was still 4-on-4. And there was a great defensive play by Makar. And then Samuel Girard has had a rough early season because He had a near turnover that would have led to a great opportunity for the Lightning. It would then go back to 5-on-5, and there was a huge save by Kemper. The puck was, I can't remember if this was actually the I don't think this was the save that I'm talking about. We'll get to that later in the period. But he had a great save. However, the rebound would come to Steven Stamkos, and he would put it away, and he would tie the game up 2-2 for the Lightning. JT Compher then has a great chance, but it goes high. McKinnon has a great quick snapshot, but it was saved by Vasilevskiy. Eric Johnson makes a nice defensive play. And then there was a bounce in front of the net. And then McKinnon, he was right in front of the net. There's guys close in it. He tried to drop it for, I think it was Landeskog. Landeskog wasn't there, though, and it was turned over. Then Andrei Vasilevskiy, the goaltender, would get called for a tripping penalty. And for the sixth time that night, tonight, the Avalanche got a power play. Now, we had to capitalize on this. Like, I wrote it here. We got to capitalize on the sixth power play. And then we win the draw, and the first shot is a one-time goal by Nathan MacKinnon, and he gives the Avs a 3-2 lead. That was McKinnon's first goal of the season, giving the Avs the lead. Mikko Rantanin would then crash into the boards, and he was hurt. He was skating off slowly to the bench. However, a little bit later, Mikko Rantanin would come back onto the ice. Then there was a collision in the corner. Jost had a questionable pass that was intercepted. And then there was a great chance by the Lightning. And Brayden Point's backhand is just wide. This is where Kemper made a spectacular save. There was a shot, and it was rolling into the back of the net. But he turns around. He gets his stick on it. He pulls it back, and he covers it up. Huge save. What a robbery by Darcy Kemper. That was his best save so far this season. Maybe the save of the year, to be honest. Then Nazem Kadri has a quick snapshot on Vasilevskiy, but it's saved. And then Vasilevskiy was pulled, and there was a draw in the Colorado defensive zone, our defensive zone, and Headman gets it. He pulls the defenders over the left side, gives it up to Brayden Point, and Brayden Point has a quick snapshot, beats Kemper on the left side, on his blocker side, and he would tie the game at 3, and we would head to overtime. So it's 3-on-3, a 5-minute overtime period, sudden death, who would score. There was a turnover in the defensive zone for the Avs, and this is where I got nervous. I was like, oh my goodness. But McKinnon goes ahead, and he strips the puck away from Brayden Point. Then Vasilevskiy robs Rantanin on a one-timer. McKinnon was skating in on the right side. He was working in. He passed it over to Rantanin. Rantanin kind of looked surprised by that shot, but he got 2 shots off and 2 great saves by Vasilevskiy. And yeah, that was just unfortunate. Then Landeskog had a shot blocked, and then he had another shot that was saved by Vasilevskiy. Darcy Kemper makes a huge save, but Samuel Girard was checked hard by Steven Stamkos into the boards, and he was injured. Now, was it a dirty hit? I mean, kind of. Stamkos didn't mean to do it on purpose, but he did check Girard into the boards, so I would expect Steven Stamkos to have a hearing for a suspension. I'd say probably like 2 games, something like Landeskog got for his hit on Kirby Dach. Something short like that. Then Landeskog knocks the puck out of the air, and he has a quick snapshot, but it's saved by Vasilevskiy. Brayden Point moves in, shoots wide, and Kemper is making huge saves. Lightning had multiple opportunities to win it and end it in overtime. However, Kemper's just being a brick wall out there. Defense is helping block shots, deflect them. So, great defense by the Avalanche in the overtime. And we are headed to a shootout. So, the shootout, the first matchup is Victor Headman versus Darcy Kemper. Headman moves in, and Victor Headman wins the matchup between Darcy Kemper, and the Lightning are up 1-0 on the Avalanche. Then for the Avalanche, it's Nathan MacKinnon up, and he is facing Andrei Vasilevskiy. MacKinnon skates, he moves in, he shoots, and it is saved by Vasilevskiy. He wins that matchup, and it is still 1-0 for the Avalanche. Next is Brayden Point versus Darcy Kemper. Brayden Point moves in, and it is saved by Kemper. Still 1-0 for the Avalanche. Then it is Mikko Rantanin versus Andrei Vasilevskiy. Rantanin moves in, shoots, and it is off Andrei Vasilevskiy's back, and it rolls in, and Mikko Rantanin capitalizes it, tying the shootout at 1-1 all. Then Ross Colton would be the next shooter for the Lightning, and they would face he would face Darcy Kemper, obviously. Ross Colton moves in, and it is no goal. It is saved by Darcy Kemper. Then Andrei Burakovsky is the next shooter for the Avalanche. And I'll be honest, Andrei Burakovsky has had a rough season. He's just looked slightly off. He's been slightly off on the passes. It's been rough for him trying to control the puck. It's been like this ever since the playoffs really started last season. He's just been a little bit off. I'm hoping that he can get back into the swing of things, though. He skates in, and it's no goal. It is saved by Vasilevskiy. He wins that matchup. Then it is still 1-1 all. It's Steven Stamkos, the captain for the Lightning, coming in for the fourth round. He moves in, and he scores on Darcy Kemper. And it's up to Gabriel Landeskog. Landeskog, the captain, has got to score. He moves in, and he scores, tying it up. The captains come in clutch for both squads. Stamkos of the Lightning and Landeskog for the Avs. And this thing is tied up at 2-2. Corey Perry is the next shooter for the Lightning. He moves in, and he is stuffed, and he is just... Darcy Kemper looked great. He saves it on Corey Perry. Next, Nazem Kadri is the next shooter, but Vasilevskiy, it's the better of him, and it is no goal still. Anthony Cirelli would be the next shooter for the Lightning. He comes in, and Kemper makes a huge save, and, Cale Makar comes up. Cale Makar can end it. He walks in, he shoots, he scores, and the Avalanche win 4-3 in the shootout, moving to 2-3-0 on the season. Huge win. Obviously, the win's coming over the Lightning and the Blackhawks. The losses coming against St. Louis, the Capitals, and the Panthers. So, yeah, we're home for our next game against the Vegas Golden Knights. I'll have a video coming out soon, the preview against the Golden Knights. And, yeah, let's pick up the dub. Let's go 3-3, and let's beat one of our biggest rivals, the Vegas Golden Knights, my least favorite team. Let's do it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out, and as always, go Avs, go.